In the beginning, there was conflict. And out of this conflict, the man was born. The man was adored by the women, but the men were not impressed. The men resented the man. The men wanted justice and equality for themselves. So the men conspired and killed the man with monogamy and marriage. But while the men were all busy dancing on the man's grave, he came back as the emperor. So the men conspired and killed him again, but with mercy and democracy this time. But while the men were all busy with marking their ballots and saying their prayers, he came back as the temple. So the men conspired and killed him again, but with industry and science this time. But while the men were busy collecting their paychecks and playing with their toys, he came back as the machine. The machine proceeded to enslave the men and liberate the women. But the women were not impressed with the machine. The machine was making them bored, lonely, and dependent on their slaves. Some of the women were growing concerned because they felt too isolated and ignorant. "Why do I sometimes feel like my slave has too much power?" said one concerned woman. The liberationist replied, "Your slave is stealing your power by working for you and making you his dependent." "My slave rarely listens to me. He's becoming useless," said another concerned woman. "Indeed, a woman needs a slave like a fish needs a bicycle," said the liberationist. "How can I retain control over my slave?" asked another concerned woman. "The key to empowerment is to master the work of a slave," said the liberationist. The women hated the liberationist, but the machine had already appointed the liberationist as their leader and their voice. "Up is down, work is play, life is death," said the liberationist. And eventually the women followed the liberationist and went to work for the machine. But their dependency only grew as the machine began to treat them just like infants. And while the women were busy with working for the machine stole their slaves away from them, and so the slaves were lost and could not be found. The slaves had neither loyalty, nor motivation, nor pride. They could not be found, but they soon found each other. Moreover, the stolen slaves were now beginning to resent the machine that they had created. That is, the machine who was really the temple, who was really the emperor, who was really the man. And out of that growing resentment, 3 new men were born. The MRA tried to organize and prepare both the slaves and their owners to go to war with the machine. The MGTOW spoke directly to the slaves and tried to convince the slaves that only they had the power to free themselves. And the masculinities doctor diagnosed the slaves with a sickness, prescribed for them drugs, guilt, and nonsense, and then sang them a soothing lullaby. The slaves liked these new men, but they couldn't conspire against the machine this time, because they were so busy with trying to figure out which of these new men was really the machine in disguise. That is, the machine who was really the temple, who was really the emperor, who was really the man. And so the slaves argued and struggled to come to a consensus about what to do next. And then, something totally unexpected happened.